Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 117th running of the National Western Stock Show and today's event in the ring, the Market Goat Show. Thank you for being here. Couple of announcements. The back row, the back alley next to the wall that's straight across from the announcer's table. That's for exhibitors and their animals only. I know it's a great place to watch, but these kids worked a long, hard time to get ready for this, and we're going to give them every advantage they can and try to keep the blood pressure as low as we can. So give them all that area. That's theirs as they check in and wait for their class. At this time, I'd like to announce Skylar Scotton from Nevada, Missouri. He's our judge for the day. He grew up raising show cattle and goats with his family. He was an active member in 4-H and FFA and judged livestock at the collegiate level. Skylar currently resides in Lubbock, Texas, where he is a livestock judging coach of Texas Tech University, and his team will be here this afternoon to compete in the senior college judging tomorrow. And he is a PhD student studying ruminant nutrition. If you would, give a warm round of applause to Skylar Scotton from Nevada, Missouri, who'll be working through all the market goats today. Thank you. Join Kirk Steerwald, renowned Andis livestock grooming educator, for a live demonstration in the Beef Palace Auction Arena. Kirk will explain the latest techniques to create award-winning results with your Andis tools. Please check your schedule for dates and times.
Good afternoon around ringside. Real pleasure to be back. I'm pretty pumped up about this afternoon. I'm not going to lie. I don't have much jitters. I'm pretty calm, but, man, I'm really, really excited and just pretty pumped up to see this much quality Class 1. I know we're going to heat up in the heavyweights later on here in the day, but, guys, I tell you what, we start off right in the fire, first class of the day. I had a little conversation with my judging team on the trip to Oklahoma City and Denver there in kind of our winter workout. They said, what are you after? I said, when I judge a show of this caliber, I want it all. I'm picky. I won't settle for less, and I'm going to be pretty picky today, guys. And the one that wins this class hits me pretty hard. We can make a case that it's a pair from the side. The GOAT up front, when we get in front of these things, he just swings a little more lumber compared to the one in second. This guy comes right out of the gate, 2 steps in the ring. That one's chest floor and his head, and his shoulder blade hits me hard, and that thing packs some real heat coming down his top. Big racked, really good right there through the center portion of his loin edge. I'll watch him go away from me. Pin set, hawk to ground. That one really, really pulls away from the pack just in terms of width and symmetry from behind. I like that goat's balance too. Fresh-hided, really, really just up and out up front. You want to say he deviates just a little bit right in behind his shoulder and doesn't transition as smooth at his jump muscle. I'd agree with you, but he's tall-shouldered, he's rocket-necked, and packs a big, big punch off either end. I like that goat quite well to win. Great skeleton goat here in second. I love this one's structure. His feet, his legs, and the way he goes in motion from the side is as good as any goat we'll have in the ring so far today. And later in the day, I promise you that, because you won't get him built much better. Top line, underlying quality is good. He's got a good side turn to his stifle, and appears that he's got enough power from the side. For me, I like him a little stouter than most. I get up front. He's a little more prominent in his breastbone. I step right here from behind, and I study the outward turn off either side of his midline. He's a little flatter in his forerib. I work right here. There's not as much punch down his loin edge as what our class winner is. That's a good-looking rascal. I didn't think he packed enough heat up high to run with a really, really goat on the good time. Goat here in third, buddy, you got a nice one. That one's moderate. He's stout. That's a high cutability type of a goat. He's really, really lean and just honest and genuine in terms of his muscle pattern. He's a little shorter and steeper right there out of his rump. I need to stouten him in terms of his hind leg to match his bone work. Honestly, today, young man, he looks just a little more juvenile in terms of his rib design and his upper power as we compare him to the goats in 1 and 2. But nice job showing. Congratulations on a nice goat. The goat in 4 probably has a little more turn right there to the base of his rib. He's bigger footed and he's stouter structured. I like that goat quite well from a dimension standpoint. I study him from the side. I didn't think his hip length and his rump design was good enough to balance. For me, I just got to make that guy a little neater in terms of his silhouette, but wide underneath and good in terms of his look. As we move on down the line, I'll be honest, I sorted these goats kind of on skeletal width, body shape, and muscle in kind of an immature set of goats on down the line. I thought this one was awfully good in terms of his look, probably more powerful than the goats that precede him. For me, I just didn't have enough punch to work up any higher in a really, really competitive top 4. Another goat that's lean, high cutability, up and out up front, a little too flat in his rib. It needs to be a little wider from behind. The goat that comes in next is probably just a shot wider than the goat that we round out a really, really competitive top 5 or 6 with. For me, too frail in terms of his structure and probably just doesn't transition good enough down his top. The remaining goats are nice. They're long-bodied. They're good structured. I like their skeleton and their assembly. I think those are high cutability goats that'll hang a lean carcass. Ultimately, for me today, they come at me too narrow, just a little flatter in their rib design. Honestly, probably at the National Western today, just a little immature in terms of their look to run with a really, really competitive class. Guys, we're off to a hot start this morning. If you guys will around ringside, let's give them a nice round of applause as we work through our lightweight division.
Results of class number 1. In 10th place, Abby Forbes, Yoder, Wyoming. 9th place went to Autumn Rose Zuber, Fairplay, Colorado. 8th place, Alice Rose Zuber, Fairplay, Colorado. 7th place went to Weston Shaw, Burlington, Colorado. 6th place, Trinity Boulder, Craig, Colorado. 5th place went to Whitley Schweitzer, Wellington, Colorado. 4th, Suzanne Woody, Shiprock, New Mexico. 3rd place, Easton Willoughby, Heber, Utah. 2nd, Carly Wheeler, Templeton, California. And the winner of class number 1, Colton Kephart, Bargersville, Indiana. Next in the ring is class number 2. Class 2 should be entering the ring.
To be honest with you, I'm finding goats that I like right off early this morning in the lightweights, and it's really fun to do that. A lot of times when you judge shows, maybe your type, your kind's not always there on the top end of classes. They are here. You guys brought the goods today, and I'm very, very appreciative of that. I go back a lot of times at home, and my favorite thing to do is sit out in the barn, study livestock with my family. What we like at the house is moderate, dense, wide-bodied, big rib, and they just as stout as you can make them. And I think there's a pair of those goats on the top end that I'd like to have, the kind of livestock that I'm proud to be represented by and want to stand behind. Ultimately, for me, I think we've just got a better wheel and a little better gear and motion in the goat that wins his class. Is he the most photogenic goat that we're going to have in the ring so far today? And maybe later on, no, he's not. I'm not worried about looking just really pretty in photos, to be honest with you. They just got to be wide and stout for me, and that one does that with just a better knee, a better hind leg than the goat that comes in two. What's impressive about this guy is when you get right in here and study him from behind, the turn to his body, the consistency of his handle down his top matches with a great big pin set and the right kind of shape and dimension and drop right there through the center and lower portion of his leg. I thought for me, coming right at me, although not as big in his chest and form in the goat in second, he's more consistent, blade, knee to ground. I like that goat quite well. Call a spade. He could be a little longer necked and a little longer and leveler out of his rump, but you talk about a wide-bodied, big-ribbed one that's stout from stifle to stifle. He's got it. I like that kind quite well. The goat in second came close. He came close to being a really, really good one, in my opinion. His front knee's a little off. He's a little weird right in behind his blade, and I don't think his hind leg is quite as good and secure as a goat that wins, but he's long-necked. He's monster-chested, a goat that handles very, very good right in behind his shoulder. Although he's wide in his loin, I didn't think he was as square to his edge right here as I handle him compared to our class winner, but he's wide-backed. He's still really big in his pin set. I wish he was just a little better in terms of his running gear to run with the goat that wins. Honestly, I went back and forth in the decision between 3 and 4. I just thought there was enough quality in the goat in 3 that he had to beat the cave shoulder one we're going to talk next. From right here, this guy is round in the turn of his body. He's shallow and tucked up front. He's long-necked. He's great in the texture to his hide. I handle him down his top. He's fresh. Ultimately, for me, he just doesn't represent that just wide-bodied, big-centered kind like the goats in 1 and 2. He's a lot of people's kind. I didn't think he represented the kind that I liked quite as well. I need to drop him in his flank line, make that goat bigger in his chest. I'd like to make him a shot fuller in terms of his barrel, to be quite honest with you. The goat in 4 is good. I told that young lady when she pulled him across, hey, we're running out of quality here in our front end and out of our hip. But just in terms of basic good stock, he represents it. Good in terms of his feet and legs, a good-looking goat that's still got plenty of product in him as I study him down his top. I step back, I study him from the side, and I say, hey, is this goat just neat enough? Does he have that defining feature and presence like the goats in 1, 2, and 3? He's not as good in his chest. He's not as good in terms of his hip. He's got to be square from behind. That's where I drew the line, and that's why he landed in the 4 hole today. The goat in 5 out-handles the goat in 6, and that's what separated the pair. That's a good-looking goat from the side. That's tall-shouldered. He's really long and level from his last rib back. Off either end, he's too closed up in his chest. I need to make him bigger in terms of his pin set out just a little wider at his hock. A wider base goat here that comes in right behind him. And this goat is big-chested. He's wide from behind. I didn't think he matched the center third of his body with enough width comparative to both ends. It just didn't balance right when I study him off either end. I need to make that goat a little bigger loin, a little fuller at the upper part of his hip to make him more consistent in terms of his viewpoints. As we work on down the line, we got a set of goats that are good structured. They're high cutability. I appreciate that for light goats, that they're still got some extra length and maturity to them to feed out to a heavier weight. Ultimately today, they didn't have that same quality image up front. Need to stouten them in terms of their topside shape, make them a little wider from end to end. Great class, really, really good all the way through. Once again, we're off to a great start this afternoon. Congratulations to these kids as we round out Class 2.
Results of class number 2. In 10th place, Abby Forbes, Yoder, Wyoming. 9th place, Owen Steffen, Wiggins, Colorado. 8th place went to Marley Sams, Peyton, Colorado. 7th place went to Thomas Shaw, Burlington, Colorado. 6th place went to Emily McGuire, Windsor, Colorado. 5th place, Trent Mock, Franktown, Colorado. 4th place, Jana Stearns, Edgemont, South Dakota. Third place went to Anna Vetter, Bennett, Colorado. Second was Kinnicooly, Pomona Tech, Kansas. And the winner of class number 2, Sandra Klinger from Yuma, Arizona. Class 3 entering the ring at this time. Class 3 should be entering the ring. Upon completion of Class 3, we will have the champion drive of the lightweights. Champion drive of lightweights will be after this. First or second in each of the first classes need to come back in for champion drive.
I know I take a little extra time. To be honest with you, I'm usually pretty fast at judging. I like to roll through them pretty quick, but I've been looking forward to this day for so long. I just want to take a step back and enjoy my time here at the National Western this afternoon and just kind of ease along through these classes and really study the stock. I'm going to do my very, very best job. I promise you that. Every person that steps in the ring today to hinge my thoughts and get an absolute 100% dead read on these goats today. I'm really wanting to glue in and just get it right. And to be honest with you, with that said, I still lay pretty hard on my first impression coming in the ring, and that's where this goat that wins this class wins, and I think he wins very, very handedly in my mind. He comes right in the gate. I think that's the best chested, best forearm goat of the set. That's beautiful in his head. Big, stout, burly head that's still right in terms of his jawline. In my opinion, that's the boldest bodied, biggest barreled goat of the class that when I get my hands on him and I touch him over his rack in his 12th and his 13th, he's the widest, he's the best, he's still the leanest and cleanest in his body wall. I think that's the best cutting goat in this class with extras in terms of foot size, bone work, and feature. To be honest with you, he's a knucklehead in motion, and I don't like that. It bothers me just a little bit because he gets just a little awkward in his hock set and a little steeper out of his hip. But if we're going to chest, body shape, handling quality, the things that really matter in my mind, that's where I land my thoughts. That's where I land on this class, and he wins and wins very handedly in my mind. 2 and 3 gets close, to be real honest with you. I like 3 better in motion. I like the horsepower and just the body shape of the goat in 2 just a shot better on the standstill. For me, I study that goat up front. He's wider chested. He's fuller in terms of his body. I handle him over his top. I think he's way bigger and wider and fuller in terms of his loin edge. I think a goat that's wider in terms of his upper hip, deeper twisted, and just a shot bolder right down through the base of his leg. For me, why he can't win this class, I think that's his softest touching goat in terms of his lower forerib and his elbow pocket. I think a goat that looks just a little deeper and just a little plainer in terms of his flank line today. I didn't think he was just as cat-like in motion as what our class winner was, but a wide-bodied, big-ribbed one with a lot of product that I still like quite well. I told this young man right here I like this goat, and there's a lot of you around ringside that like him too, and rightfully so. Big-footed, stout, structured, set out wide at his corners, and that thing is very, very good in motion. That thing presents just a deadly image in silhouette when he takes off and strides. I get in front of that guy, and I step off right behind him, and I just wish he had more. He's plainer in the contour to his body. I handle him right here in his loin edge. He's just a little narrow, a little plain right there. He just needs to be a little wider and stouter all the way through. But that's a knockout, deadly good looking with feature to burn. I like that one quite well. I like the goat in 4, and young lady, he was right in the mix because just in terms of basics, in terms of width, body shape, handling quality, he had it. He was too plain in terms of his head, a little longer and just a little uglier in terms of his ear set today. I didn't think that goat balanced as good in terms of his top line as the goats in 1, 2, and 3. We worked down the line a pair of wide product-driven goats that come in next that didn't balance quite good enough in their chest and their underline. We got a good-looking goat here that comes in that the young lady does an awfully good job showing with. Awesome in terms of his look up front, neat presence. For me, he's too flat in his body and needs just a little more in terms of his pin width and from behind. We round out this group of heavyweights in our lightweight division. I thought a good set of goats in terms of feet and leg structure. Maybe we're getting just a little plainer in terms of our body wall today. I didn't think there was just enough there as we worked down their top and from behind. Great job. Congratulations to every exhibitor in this class. That was a nice set of goats. Nice job.
Results of class number 3. In 10th place, Leslie Otero from Tomei, New Mexico. 9th place went to Marley Sams, Peyton, Colorado. 8th place, Gillian Steffen from Wiggins, Colorado. 7th place, Caden Healy Mitchell, Wiggins, Colorado. In 6th place, Joy Baldwin, Caldwell, Texas. 5th place, Simon Raff, Nunn, Colorado. 4th place, Elena Mock, Franktown, Colorado. 3rd place, Dayton Morbett, Linville, Iowa. 2nd went to Maggie McDonald from Magnolia, Arkansas. And the winner of Class 3, Reese Ingvelson, Arkansas City, Kansas. 1 and 2 will come back in for champion drive of the lightweights. John Deere is the official agricultural and turf equipment provider of the National Western Stock Show. Visit your local John Deere dealer for great deals now, and remember, nothing runs like a Deere. Saunders Construction was locally founded in 1972 and is now one of the largest and most stable construction companies in Colorado. Saunders offers well-paid positions with opportunities for career growth. Visit us at www.sandersincorporated.com for more information on career opportunities.
I tell you what, it kind of quieted down in here just a little bit. Blowers stopped, and everybody's probably paying attention to this division, seeing kind of what's going to be the pace car for today and where we go from here. Guys, I tell you what, these lightweight goats are real good, and they're going to be in the mix later on tonight, no doubt about it. In whichever avenue we go down here for Champion and Reserve, they're going to get a serious look at 6 o'clock on the green turf out there in the Coliseum, and I'm really excited about it. I tell you what, it's close in my mind. I'll tell you what I see here real quick, but I still think there's a decision in my mind that just needs to be made, and I'm pretty certain in where I'm going to go in this particular group. But I'll tell you what I see in these goats real quick. Front view alone, I like the goat out of Class 1 the best, and he distances himself from the other class winners up front by quite some margin. You talk about the right kind of chest, big forearm, front leg, beautiful head, and still from the side. That's a tall blade, poker neck, and that thing can really go in motion. I like that guy when I get to the handle, too. I think that's one of the leaner goats out here that handles right in terms of where he's at, right in behind his shoulder. I still think that goat is wide in the center portion of his loin and right over his 12th and 13th. I get right here. He's a little immature in terms of his loin edge and the break right there and the way it ties into his jump muscle. But if you tell me that goat isn't good enough right there, I'd have to argue, because that thing still ties in wide. It's deep. There's a lot of product in that goat coming at you and going away. That's an image that I really like and I'll remember for quite some time. The goat that was second in that class, big-footed, stout-structured. That thing is really sporty looking from the side. Just dead level in terms of his top, and his underline sets in him so good. Up front, we already discussed, he's not good enough in his chest today. That goat just needs to set out wider to run kind of with some big horses up here on the front line. But still, that thing fits to the lineup, dead center from a quality standpoint. The goat that wins Class 2, he's not beauty from the side, but that thing is beast mode when you get right in behind him. I love that thing just in terms of the turn of his barrel, the consistency down his back. If we handle him right here in their loin edge, he's the widest, he's the flattest, and he's the best there, and he's the biggest in terms of his upper rump shape. The depth to his twist is right, and the way he drops down with the right kind of shape through his stifle. I study him right here. I think he balances good enough. At times he can get a little forward in his knee. To be honest with you, I don't think that's a major issue when they get in motion. That goat's still really, really long-necked. I'd like to lengthen him out of his hip. That's probably just the biggest glaring issue that I see in that goat. But to be honest with you, I said it in the doe show yesterday. I'm more worried about making him wide-hipped probably than just perfectly level, and he's certainly that. The goat that was second in that class, big feet under that guy. And, man, he has got some timber underneath that can really look good still in motion in terms of his hind leg. I like that goat in terms of length of his neck. He's the biggest chested one in here up front. I don't think he just blends smooth enough in terms of his forerib and the way he sets in terms of his knee. He's almost just a little bit, I hate to say this, it really does pain me to say this, but he's almost a little too wide-chested where it doesn't balance right. That'll probably be the last time you hear me say that for today. But still, a goat that I like quite well in terms of just the foot size, the general feature in that guy. A lot of product. I didn't think he tied his pieces together quite as well as what the class winner did. This goat right here, he honestly, he hits me harder the longer he's out here. Big-footed, stout-structured, really rugged in terms of his kind. The center third of this goat I really like. Just in terms of his body wall, the way he handles up high, that's a good handling goat. That's still just really ripped up in terms of his shape. You can see the crease that he's got right there in the center portion of his leg, and he balances right from the side. It may be just a little bit of a personal bias. I'd like to square him up at his hock when he goes straight away, and I too would like to lengthen that goat out of his hip. But I tell you what, if he is going to be just a little narrow at his hock, at least he's got a big hind leg to go with that, so it still balances and looks the part from right here. That young lady can really show too. Props to you on that. You do a very nice job presenting that animal. Second in that class, we touched on him. His basic build, the way he sat out wide at his corners was good. He's wide over his last rib, and in terms of his loin edge, he's got too much in terms of his elbow pocket today, and he's just a little plainer back in his flank, and I didn't think he was as catty in motion as what these goats were. Guys, to be honest with you, I think it's a pretty clear-cut decision in this particular lineup. I'll take one last look. If you guys will, let's give him a big round of applause. I'll show you a champion in reserve in D1.
Champion lightweight goes to Colton Kephart. Colton Kephart is your champion lightweight. And your reserve champion lightweight goes to Sandra Klinger. Sandra Klinger is your reserve champion lightweight. Next in the ring, first class of mediums, class 4. Sullivan Supply is a family owned and operated company founded in 1989. As the innovative leader in livestock show supplies, Sullivan Supply has kept the values of hard work, family ties, and quality product at its core. Sullivan Supply is proud to service the livestock industry and wishes all the exhibitors at the National Western the best of luck. Superior Farms is ready to have you try a delicious change. Serve your family American lamb from Superior Farms. There are so many ways to enjoy lamb with the easy recipes at superiorfarms.com. Weaver Livestock is committed to helping you by the very best you can be. Stop by their booth between the Junior Barn and Stadium Arena to check out their full line of show supplies backed by industry experts. Weaver is devoted to fueling your enthusiasm for showing livestock with innovative products at the National Western Stock Show.
We start off the middleweight division in pretty commanding fashion. I tell you what, you better be ready to rock and roll. You come through that little brown gate right there in this class because there's some high rent operators on the top end. I like the top three quite well. I step one time to the three-quarter angle. The goat that wins, and he wins, and it ain't even close, guys, in my opinion. You talk about one that I like up front. That thing hits me hard in terms of the width between his eyes, the width to his chest, the stoutness of his form and front foot is big, and that is a big barrel, stout topside handle. His hip is right in terms of its width. I think he's so genuine in his shape. He's right in his composition, and that thing handles smooth up high and wide. He's really defined in terms of his rib cage. I think that guy is wide, stout, good in terms of his look from the side. I think a really, really nice goat to win. Call a spade. We can all see it. He's a little bit, just a little lower in terms of his pin set than what I deem ideal, and he's got a little extra curl to his hind leg. I get it. I understand it. No doubt about it. But right here, I just can't beat that goat. I think he wins his class and does so real, real easy. The goat in seconds, as good a one as we've had in motion that's been in the ring so far today, just in terms of his top line, his shoulder wedge, his neck set, his head shape is extremely good, and his hip and his hind leg is very, very hard to make. For me, I get in front of that guy. He's a little frailer in his jaw. I think he's plainer through the base of his chest. I get right here, and this goat's plainer to the top of his rib and what you'd probably deem ideal. I study him right here in the turn to his upper forerib. It's plainer. He's just not as defined in terms of his flank and the way he comes back. I thought he was nice in terms of his shape. I didn't think there was that just out there defining power and feature like what we find in our class winner. The goat in third is wide. He's opened up. I think this goat looks very, very good propped up, to be honest with you. I think that goat's right in terms of his underlying progression. I study him right here. He's wide up front. He's wide from behind. He got the plainest in motion, young lady. He's just a little slack in his top line. I thought he fell out in terms of his chest. For me, I'd like to give him just a bigger foot and a bigger hind leg to match his power in terms of his handling quality up high. Great trio of goats, I thought, in motion. Thought that one separated from 1 and 2. The goat in 4, young lady, you've got the best fourth plate goats we've seen all day, no doubt about it. Big-footed, stout-structured, a goat that's wide up front. He's good from behind. He's good in terms of his look. I studied that goat up high. I thought he was the plainest in his handle of the top 3, just right out of his shoulder blade. I'd like to make that goat just a shot wider and stouter to his hip. Give him a shot more shape right there through the center and lower portion of his leg. Nice job. Great job showing that goat. The goat in 5, I thought, just had more product than goats in 6, 7, 8, and 9. A goat from the side, and the young man gets him propped up and does an awfully nice job. Needs a bigger foot to match his power up high and didn't balance in terms of his rump length. Got a big featured goat here that's very flexible in terms of his hind leg. Needs just a wider cage and a bolder shape up high. I didn't think just he matched in terms of his power from his feature down low to his width to his back up high. Good productive goat here that comes next. Jackson needs to handle a little better. Probably maturity has caught up to the goats that round out this class, but still good, functional, practical goats that are very, very long-sided and good in their look. They probably just need a little more power up high to play in a very, very good class. Great class, very intriguing top trio. A goat that wins, it suits me quite well.
Results of class number 4. In 10th place, Carson Lubers from Lamar, Colorado. 9th place went to Corbin Jagers, Wiley, Colorado. 8th, Alex Eichler, Gibson, Colorado. 7th place, Paisley Atkins, Whitesboro, Texas. 6th place, Cashley Hayden, Kingsburg, Colorado. 5th place, Ace Arnold, Saratoga, Wyoming. 4th place went to Shay Robertson, Elkhart, Kansas. 3rd place, Dakota Martin, Mason, Texas. 2nd went to Nolan Hodge, Good Hope, Illinois. And the winner of class number 4 was J.C. Falkenstein from Oswego, Kansas. In the ring is class number 5. The Colorado Farm Show is proud to support the National Western Stock Show, and they invite you to attend the 58th Colorado Farm Show taking place January 24th, 25th, and 26th at the Island Grove Regional Event Center in Greeley. Colorado Farm Show brochures are available ringside or at the announcer stand. Complete details are also online at www.coloradofarmshow.com. If you're looking for that extra edge in the show ring, consider the Blue Ribbon 2 blocking blade from Andis, now available with ceramic edge cutting blade. Designed for competition, the Andis Blue Ribbon 2 blocking blade delivers a new level of performance with improved hair feed and clean show-stopping lines. Create your way with Andis. John Deere is the official agricultural and turf equipment provider of the National Western Stock Show. Visit your local John Deere dealer for great deals now, and remember, nothing runs like a Deere.
Another good class as we work into our heavies. I'll be real honest, probably not the toughest decision that I've had to make today. I think just a real solid top five, and I think they just kind of fall in line. To call a spade, I think our class winner wins, and wins quite easy. Is he perfect? No, he's a little frail. He's short-jawed, and he's just a little weird at his knee. But in terms of just body shape, handling quality, looking like a high-caliber goat from the side, he represents that. And still, I think what's unique about that guy, for as much muscle and just stoutness as he's got packed on his skeleton, I still think his balance and his symmetry from the side is very, very good. The goat in seconds, bigger-footed. He's a little stouter structured. I like this one's skeleton extremely well. I think this goat's long, and he's very lean from his last rib back. I like the way his top line balances, just in terms of the height to his shoulder, the way he comes back so level to his tail base and square and accurate on all four. I get right here, young lady, and we run out of punch as we compare him to our winner. A little flatter sided, a little plainer in the way he sets his pin bone to his body, and I didn't think that goat was just as unique in terms of its freshness and handle up high to run with the goat that wins. Told this young man I really liked his goat chain. He's got a 12-gauge shotgun shell on it. I thought that was pretty cool. That's probably the coolest goat chain I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of them, buddy. That's pretty neat. Got a big-footed, stout, structured goat here. I like this kind. He's just basic and good. He's wide. He's stout. He's got enough muscle, and he's still nice in motion. But he's a little plainer today in terms of his height and just the texture to his muscle. I get right here. I'd like to see him amped up in the turn and just the shape to his lower rib design and make that goat just a shot wider from end to end. But nonetheless, a really, really nice goat that we round out a competitive top three with. The goat in 4, long-bodied, a heavyweight goat that's very sound in terms of his feet and legs. Thought he had more muscle than the goat in 5. Didn't think he had enough muscle to get in our top 3, though. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I thought you just fit right there in the 4th place spot, and if we're going to rank these on muscle. The goat in 5, long and lean. This thing is really tall-shouldered. He's good-looking up front. He matches it with stoutness of structure, which I think is unique. That goat's got to be wider from end to end and bolder and just bigger in terms of his barrel for me to work up any higher. Same story on the goat that comes next. Long neck. He's got a good look to him. I need more product working in that goat, especially out of his rump. He gets just a little round for me in terms of his build as we study them in motion. We got some goats on down the line that come next. That the 2 goats that are real similar in their type and kind is the paint and the black-headed goat. They're good-bodied. They run uphill. Excellent showmen. For me, they get too plain and flat-sided, and we just need to make them wider in terms of their hip and set down just a little neater from behind. As we round out this class, some long-bodied, heavyweight goats that are real efficient, probably real easy to put on feed. Ultimately today, they just need to be a shot ranker in terms of their body and handle with just a neater shape up high, if you will. Great class. Congratulations. Really enjoying our middleweight division thus far. Good job, buddy.
Results of class number 5. In 10th place, Jocelyn Hubert, Wiggins, Colorado. 9th place, Garrett Rubin, Calhan, Colorado. 8th place, Jalen Miner, Yuma, Colorado. 7th went to Alex Eichler, Gibson, Colorado. 6th to Jace Allen, Mitchell, Nebraska. 5th place, Allison Hawker, Loveland, Colorado. In 4th place, Leslie Otero, Tomei, New Mexico. 3rd place went to J.C. Pratt, Richmond, Utah. 2nd, Elena Mock, Franktown, Colorado. And 1st place in Class 5 was Sadie Allen from Elk City, Oklahoma. In the ring is class number 6. Upon completion of 6, we will have the champion drive for the middleweights. Champion drive for middleweights following this class. Saunders Construction was locally founded in 1972 and is now one of the largest and most stable construction companies in Colorado. Saunders offers well-paid positions with opportunities for career growth. Visit us at www.saundersincorporated.com for information on career opportunities. Sullivan Supply is a family-owned and operated company founded in 1989. As the innovative leader in livestock show supplies, Sullivan Supply has kept the values of hard work, family ties, and quality products at its core. Sullivan Supply is proud to service the livestock industry and wishes all the exhibitors at the National Western the best of luck.
I enjoy goats. I always have. I don't know why. Kind of weird of me to say, but we've had goats there at our house for about 20 years now, believe it or not. Time is slipping away in a pretty quick manner. I've just always liked them. I've just liked just kind of the perception of the beast. I like sitting out there. I like studying them, their basic build, their width, how they look, coming at you, going away. Literally, we'd sit there for hours, my brother and my dad and I, just studying creatures and the way they look that day, and it really trained me for moments like this. So when my brother and I say thank you, I look back on that. I think it's fun. Water's deep, and you got to make the right call. I'm real confident in my decision here, guys, to be real honest with you. I think the one that wins this deal wins, and it's not close between 2 and 3. I think they just go in this order, 1, 2, 3, and I like all 3 goats quite well. The goat that wins is the most consistent from every view, and that's why he takes the cake in this particular set. I get right here. I look underneath of these goats and their chest, their form, the way their blade sits into their body, and the way they transition down their top. He's the answer to that call, and that thing is wide. He is big-centered. He is just immaculate in terms of the base width to his chest. I love the way he comes back to his hip. He's real accurate in the way he sets him from behind. I thought that's where that goat really kind of set the pace in this group, was when we lap these goats and we study how their hip functions, their hind leg sets to the dirt, and the way they go from right behind. I thought that's where he really held the advantage compared to the goat in 2. Now, to be honest with you, he doesn't handle it as good as what I probably anticipated. Is he good in his shape? Yes. Is he as wide and just as dense backed as some of the goats we've had today? No, he's not. And I'd like to make him just a little fuller in terms of his loin and maybe just a little bigger right there at the top part of his blade when I get my hands on that guy. But in terms of base width, how they're supposed to be made in terms of their rib and the way they go in motion, I thought that goat hit me about as hard as one has in quite some time. The goat in the second, I like this one probably just a shot better when I get my hands on him. He's bigger racked. He's fuller to his loin. This goat has got a tremendous amount of rump shape when I step off right here. I mean, that thing is deep, twisted, obnoxiously big in the way he wraps down to the base of his stifle. And a goat for me that's still good looking in terms of his proportions and balance from the side when he's set up. Buddy, when you take off and walk that goat, I thought's where that he just kind of ran into just a little bit of hitch in terms of his get along. He's a little rounder in terms of his hip. He's a little plainer in terms of his jump muscle and the way that it sets into his body. He's got too much curl to his hind leg, and he's just a little softer in terms of his ankle. That's where I thought the separation between 1 and 2 was, but that's an awfully good pair that I'll remember for quite some time. I told this young man right here in third when he came in, I said, young man, you're in pretty deep water right here. This is a great class, the deepest class we've had all day by quite some margin. And this goat's nice, very good in terms of his look, his eye appeal, and his design from the side. Silhouette's awesome. I like his lateness and maturity. There's just not enough gas in the tank when you get in front or getting behind that guy. He's too narrow-chested. He's too flat-bodied. He's got to be wider and stouter in terms of his hip and the way he goes to the ground for me. But very nice in terms of his look. Structure is excellent in that guy. This goat's got more muscle than the goat in 3. I didn't think he was as good in motion. This young lady does a really nice job showing this guy. This one's great and parallel in his body shape, big-footed, stout-structured handles like they're supposed to up high. A little steeper in terms of his rump design. He gets a little closer at his hock. For me, I didn't think that goat moved with just enough symmetry and just enough athleticism out of his hip and his hind leg when they took off and went in a circle here. This young man brings us another goat that I like quite well in his basic build. Great feet, big feet, good legs, really, really athletic in motion. I get on top of this guy, and I think his best day is just come and gone. Maturity's catching up to him in terms of his body. I think he's plainer in his forearm. I get my hands on him right here, buddy, and that's where he kind of falls apart. He's just too A-framed in terms of his loin. I'd like to just see him a little wider and square all the way down his back. We work down the line. This is a good cutting goat here, young lady. That's a hard-handling, real lean, high cutability goat, little straight off both ends. I'd like to pull him apart in his chest. We round out the best class of the day, guys, and I apologize that you're this far down the line. I assume you didn't come to the National Western expecting to be this low, and I wouldn't blame you if you're disappointed, but use it as encouragement because these are really good goats. I promise you, these are goats that will win a lot of shows throughout the country, especially kind of in the dead heat of the summer. They're big, they're wide, they're stout, they're very, very nice in terms of their basic kind. They're just a little plainer in terms of their body wall today, and they didn't fit together quite as good from the side as what some of the goats on up the line did. Great class, really excited about our division when they come back in. If you will, around ringside, let's congratulate these kids on a great class.
Results of class number 6. In 10th place, Easton Willoughby, Heber, Utah. 9th place, Simon Raff, Nunn, Colorado. 8th place, Jace Allen, Mitchell, Nebraska. 7th place, Jake Nichols, Gillette, Wyoming. 6th place, Ashley Hayes, Gettysburg, Colorado. 5th place, Dayton Morvet, Linville, Iowa. 4th place, Shay Robertson from Eckhart, Kansas. 3rd went to Baylor Pearson, El Reno, Oklahoma. 2nd went to Hayden Schroeder. Second went to Hayden Schroeder from Zephyr, Texas, and the winner of Class 6, Dakota Martin from Mason, Texas. In the ring is the champion drive for middleweights. Champion drive for middleweights in the ring. Superior Farms is committed to the care of the flock. Our employee owners believe good things come from putting the flock first. Get the story at superiorfarms.com.
Welcome to the Denver Goat Show. If you've never been here before, I've came to the Denver Goat Show for several years. Back when I was a kid, I showed here a few times. And guys, if you got beat today and you got your heart broke, I've been there. I'm a guy that's been there, and I apologize if you didn't get along as well as you wanted to today. It's just part of it, and trust me, I genuinely sincerely care about you guys and how you do, and I hope you take this as a learning experience. From a judge's standpoint, there's just close calls that got to be made, and there's going to be people upset at the end of the day. That's just part of it. It's just part of this job. I enjoy shows. To be honest with you, I like high-pressure situations. I've just always enjoyed feeling just a little extra heat on my back, whether it be judging in a judging contest, playing baseball, whatever it may be. I just enjoy moments like this because if you didn't have any pressure, the moment probably wouldn't matter very much to you. So this is a moment that I'll remember for some time. I talked about it this morning, and I've enjoyed my afternoon at the Denver Livestock Show and the National Western. The lightweights were incredible. The middleweights were awfully good. I know we've got a division left to go, but this is a great division of goats. All three class winners, all 3 seconds, hit me very good. It comes down between a pair of them for me, and I'll tell you what I see in these 6 real quick, and we'll leave those 2 for last, and we'll talk those 2 for last, okay? Second place out of Class 1. Good built. Man, that thing is great at this foundation, right? Big-footed, stout structure. That goat is awesome in his silhouette, and his design, I think, is about as good as they come. He's a little softer in his back. He's a little plainer in terms of his body shape, and he doesn't have that just gorilla chest and opened up with up front like a couple of these others do. Class 2 winner, I think his body design, his handle, and his stoutness to his hip and right there through the base of his leg is as good as any we've seen. I'd like to make him a little sounder in his mouth. I'd like to make him bigger-footed, and I didn't think that goat was as good in terms of his front knee in motion. Second in that class, really neat in terms of his look. That goat's eye appeal, that goat's design from the side, I think is fitting in this lineup. I think that goat's very lean and consistent in his handle up high. For me, he gets just a little plainer and flatter in his rib design, a little more closed up in his pin set. I'd like to see that guy just a little stronger in terms of his hind ankle as well. Second in Class 3, that thing's as big as hipped and as stout in terms of his stifle as what we've had in here. Probably as stout as just a rumped goat is what we'll have in the show today, I anticipate. That goat's really deep in his loin edge. He handles with very good volume of muscularity. I didn't think that goat was as consistent in the handle down his top. I thought he ran out of horsepower in his chest between a pair of them that we're going to talk in just a second. And for me, he's a little rounder in his hip and just a little softer in terms of his ankle when these goats set into motion. All right, it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty, and I'll tell you exactly what I see in these 2 goats, and there's not going to be any chips left on the table. I'm going to describe them as good as I absolutely can because this decision's very close in my opinion. The best handling goat we've had in the ring so far today is the goat that wins Class 1 in this division. I love that goat just in terms of his feature, just tough in his head, and he's big in his arm, and that goat is so rank up front. He just immediately sets the stage for what's to come. I grab this goat right here. I'm like, man, that's just what I'm after. I come back. His loin edge is big. It's deep. That goat's really wide from flank to flank when you get right in behind him. I study him from the side. I'm like, does that thing look like a major show winner? That's a question that I ask. They got to come out and they got to hit you right in the chest. Does that thing look like a big-time major show winner? And is he good enough in terms of his hip and his hind leg in motion? That's the call you got to make. In terms of base width, in terms of chest, in terms of finding feature and power that it takes to win a big show, he's got it. Does he hit you just right dead center and say, does that thing look like he needs to win the National Western today if the middleweight, if he ends up winning later on tonight? That's a question I got to ask myself. Are these good enough to go at 6 o'clock tonight? And if I land on the middleweights, am I going to be proud to take a picture behind that one? I am. I don't know if he's got just the look of another one, but he outpowers the other one, and that's very important in my mind. When I step off to a 3/4 and I look at goats, that's my favorite view. That's the tell-all view, in my opinion. I step off right here. I look at the consistency of width from front to rear, top to bottom. I think the goat that wins Class 3, that's where he sets the pace in this group. I just love that goat and the way he's opened up in his chest. He's big, he's wide in his barrel. He's so good in terms of his pin set, yet just consistent in terms of the way he sets his hind leg from behind. I think when these goats get in motion, you want to pick on him just a little bit right in behind his shoulder. I'd agree. I think part of it's he's on a halter. I think part of it that he's so wide-chested, he gets just a little easy in terms of his top line. But if we're going to call that goat ugly, and we're not going to say he's just symmetrical in his lines and so good and parallel in his views, I'd have to disagree, because right here, that thing hits me really, really hard, just in terms of his width, the way he's opened up. He is wide from end to end, and he's extremely, extremely good in terms of his presence. What makes the pair close, I study his forearm up front. He's not as big. He's not as big in his front foot, and I get my hands on him. I handle him right here. Although very expressive, there's not as much volume of muscularity there. I handle him in terms of his loin edge, and I say, is that goat is just as big and as ranking deep in his loin edge as a Class 1 winner? No, he's not. But I don't think that goat's light-muscled. Guys, this is a close call. I'll be honest with you. It's a very, very close call. It's a gut instinct call, in my opinion. I'm very confident in the way I land on this pair. I'd be proud to raise either of them. To be honest with you, I think it still comes to light when I just go to breaking down which one's harder to fall, which one's harder to pick a hole in, which one would be prouder to raise, whether it be calf, whether it be a slick shear steer, or a market goat, Class 3 champion, Class 1 reserve.
Champion middleweight goes to Dakota Martin, and your reserve champion to J.C. Falkenstein. Next in the ring is class number 7, the first class of heavyweights. Weaver Livestock is committed to helping you be the very best you can be. Stop by their booth between the Junior Barn and Stadium Arena to check out their full line of show supplies backed by industry experts. Weaver is devoted to fueling your enthusiasm for showing livestock with innovative products here at the National Western Stock Show. The Colorado Farm Show is proud to support the National Western Stock Show, and they invite you to attend the 58th Colorado Farm Show taking place January 24th, 25th, 26th at the Island Grove Regional Event Center in Greeley, Colorado. Colorado Farm Show brochures are available ringside or at the announcer stand. Complete details are also online at www.coloradofarmshow.com.
This is a good pair of goats, to be honest with you. I just practice what I preach here in this pair. I think there's one of them that's wider, a little stouter, and just a little bolder every direction. I tell you what, I just like muscle, and I like wide animals. They're just intriguing to me. We struggled just a little bit. Our team did the other day at Oklahoma City. We strayed just a little too far from muscle, and we saw where that got us, and it didn't treat us well. Sometimes the guys just got to look at the wide, stout, burly built ones that are rank up high. That's where the painted hip goat wins, and I think he wins pretty commandably in terms of power. I like this goat in his chest. I think he's beautiful colored. I didn't know if it was fungus scars on his ear or his speckles or what, but almost aged to just a really neat look in motion. I like that goat's barrel, big up high. That goat handles very good and consistent down his top. I like just the depth to his twist, the shape to his leg. That goat's a little short and steep in terms of his hip. He's a little longer eared for me. I don't know if that goat's got as much stretch as the goat right in behind him. They don't have to for me. That one's moderate, dense, wide-bodied, big rib. Hits me hard in the kind of stock that I like. The one in second's taller shouldered. He's honestly a little later in terms of his maturity pattern. I like this goat's profile in terms of the way he's very, very tall bladed. He comes back very level to the base of his tail. I thought a goat for me that was a little frailer in terms of his feature. I thought he was a little forward in terms of his knee standing still. I didn't think he was as stout in his upper hip and at his loin edge as what the goat won that particular pair. The goat in 3, very good build. This is a nice design goat, very high quality in terms of his hide and hair. I want to commend you on that, young man. Sometimes as show judges, we don't call out hide and hair and putting in the work at home. You have. That thing is very fresh. He's great in terms of his hair coat. Very good in terms of his leg hair. I think a goat from right here, he's got enough working down his top and enough just side turn and shape to his stifle to balance. We get up front of that guy, and he's distantly third in terms of chest width, shoulder shape, and just the shape right out of the top of their blade. But a nice job. Congratulations to you. The goat in 4 is fighting the young lady just a bit. I think, honestly, his best day is come and gone, if we're going to be just real honest. I study him at the base of his chest and right there in the slope to his hip. He's starting to look, kind of 13, 14 months old. I don't know how old he is, but he's just kind of starting to look just a little over the hill, if you will. That goat's big-featured. He's very good in terms of his look. I'd say 12 o'clock. That thing would have been a neat-looking rig. Today, he's lost just a little bit of his 12 o'clock show day shape, in my opinion. The goat that comes next, kind of the same story. I like this goat's build a whole bunch. Very, very good in terms of his outline and silhouette. I handle that guy. There's not enough rib cage there. His loin edge isn't wide and square enough, and he just needs to be a little stouter to his upper hip. This goat that comes next to the young man's in the Hawaiian shirt, I actually told him earlier, I said, hey, it's pretty chilly outside to be wearing a Hawaiian shirt, but he's got a nice goat. This one's wide, he's stout, he handles good. He's too plain in his outline and just a little steeper in terms of his rump for me. I got to make his hind legs stronger. This goat here that comes next is very high cutability and trim. I like his length of body. He's too plain in his body shape from behind, though, and just not neat enough in his look. We round out the class with a good set of killing goats, guys. These are long-bodied, they're lean, they handle good in their composition. Today, they weren't just as neat in terms of their skeletal organization. I'd like to make them bigger-footed and a little neater in their look up front. Great class all the way through. Congratulations to these kids. Very, very good set of heavyweight goats as we kick off Division III.
Results for class number 7. In 10th place, Alex Eichler, Gypsum, Colorado. 9th place, Suzanne Woody, Shiprock, New Mexico. 8th place went to Taya Thompson, Pine Bluffs, Wyoming. In 7th place, Jalen Miner, Yuma, Colorado. 6th, Trent Mock, Franktown, Colorado. 5th place, Brock Morbett, Linville, Iowa. 4th place, Carly Wheeler, Templeton, California. 3rd, Jace Allen, Mitchell, Nebraska. 2nd, Riley Anderson, Chillicothe, Missouri. And the winner of class number 7, Sadie Allen, Elk City, Oklahoma. Just a quick announcement for everybody here. The champion drive, the grand drive, I should say, excuse me. The grand champion drive will happen at 6 o'clock in the arena across the alley. Exhibitors need to be here in this arena at 5:30 with their animal. Also, if you were champion and reserve in showmanship in your age division, you also need to be here at 5:30 because we would like to introduce you before the grand drive. Thank you.
I tell you what, Goat Show started off strong, and we're, I believe, the second to last class of the day, guys, and it is, we're keeping the throttle down. It's very, very competitive on the top end, and this class made me think back. We were at a goat workout. I was with my team there last week when we got back from Christmas break. I said, you know what's neat about goats? Is good goats can come in just a little different form or kind and package, and just good livestock is good livestock, and some of them look like sheep, some of them look like fat steers. I like them all, and to be honest with you, I know what'll be said. I get it. Hey, I haven't used this kind throughout the day, but we also haven't seen a kind like this. I like this goat quite well. I think just his look from the side is pretty commanding in this lineup. I like a big heavyweight goat with extra stretch. They look good in a big ring to me, especially when they've got real steel working down their top, and he's got that. That thing is ripped up in his shoulder blade. You can see the definition of muscle right here in his blade in his neck. My dad and I talk about just like that little poochie muscle right there, and that's a big indicator. They've got some horsepower to work from their back, and he does, guys. That thing is stout, stout, stout with an outline to kill. I think that's an awfully, awfully nice one to win this class. Call a spade. The one in second's a little bigger footed, and he comes at me just a little bit wider, and that's a decision that you got to make between the pair. But that outline, that silhouette, and that much power and true muscularity is just too hard for me to overcome. I like the goat in second a lot. He represents the kind of livestock that we try and make at home. Moderate, real big-footed, dense in their kind. He's opened up front. And what's unique about this thing, I think he's extremely long neck and very, very good in terms of his body. And for the length of his back, I think he's extremely long neck. I think that's pretty antagonistic in my mind. I step off to the three-quarter, wide opened up, extremely dense from end to end. I study that goat in motion. He's too short out of his hip for me. He's a little steeper in terms of his tail, and I think that goat's got some extra curl to his hind leg. For me, that's what split the pair. I'd like to see that goat just a little bit longer from his last rib back. But, man, you talk about a heavyweight goat that is still fresh, that's wide, that's dense, maybe doesn't handle quite as good right there out of the backside of his shoulder is what our class winner did. I told this young lady right here, I said, man, you have shown some really good goats today. And I apologize that maybe you haven't got along as good as you wanted to. You've just been hooked up pretty tight in some great classes. This goat's long. He's very good cutting. That's a high cutability goat that's very good in terms of his body wall, and I like his shape up high. For me, we get right here, and he just runs out of gas as we work back to his stifle and his hip. I need to see that goat come with more punch as we progress to either side of his tail, drop him in his twist, give him just a little more bone. But that's a knockout killer silhouette. Very, very good cutability kind of a goat as well for a heavyweight. Bone and just true muscularity separated the pair here in 4 and 5. The goat in 4 is getting too mature, and he's starting to close up in his chest and get a little plainer at the upper part of his hip, but that's big-time feature. That's a big-time look and great handle. I thought that goat just closed up just a shot too much on either end. Very good built goat here that comes next, and I like this kind in terms of their silhouette, their top line, their hip, and their hind leg. He's too frail in his feature. He's a little flatter to the upper part of his rib. I get right here, and I study him down his top. Young lady, this is where he falls out of the lineup. Just he's a little too frail and just a little plainer at the edge of his loin. I'd like to make him handle just a little more consistent all the way down the top side of his skeleton. The goat that comes in next, wide-chested, wide-ribbed. He's stout from behind. I thought he was just a little plainer in the way he set his tail today. Too much curl to his hind leg. I didn't think his balance fit his power. If we did, I think he'd be a contender for the top 3. The pair of goats that come next are similar. This one's got more muscle than the brown one. That's a long-bodied, lean goat. It's really fresh over his rib. I just thought he needed to be a little wider up front, a little wider from behind. Brown goat that comes next is very good in his outline and silhouette, needs to pack more heat down his back. The same can be said about the 3 goats that remain. Good structured, heavyweight goats that have obviously fed well to get to this heavy weight. They didn't bring the composition or just the stoutness today to run with some of those heavy hitters on up the lineup. Great class, very, very good class. Once again, as we start concluding our heavyweight division, very excited to see still what's to come.
Results of class number 8. In 10th place, Braden Wiebert, Weldona, Colorado. 9th place, Alex Eichler, Gibson, Colorado. 8th place, Ariana Franklin, Hume, Missouri. 7th place, Kylie Forster, Bakersfield, California. 6th place, Taya Thompson, Pine Bluffs, Wyoming. In 5th was Morgan Gortzka from Cordon, Iowa. In 4th place, Kylie Forster, Bakersfield, California. 3rd went to Shay Robertson, Elkhart, Kansas. 2nd was Kara Cummings, Hollis, Oklahoma. And the winner was Hayden Schroeder from Zephyr, Texas. In the ring is Class 9. Upon completion of this class, we will do the champion heavies. Champion heavy next in the ring.
To be honest with you, I've been dreading this moment for quite some time. I've been looking so forward to the National Western that I'm just sad that this is the last class, and that's why I say I'm just dreading talking the last class, because I've just had so much fun today and a dream of mine as a kid growing up, and I'm just sad it's over, to be honest with you. Last class of the day, we finished strong, just like I anticipated. Freshness dictates this pair. I study center body, I study the turn of their barrel, and I study the way they handle up high. I think just freshness and youthfulness favors the goat that's just a shot better in his body shape. I don't. His hide takes away from him just a little bit. He's a little dingy hided, and he's gray hide. He's got that gray speckle hide, and maybe takes away from him a shot. Mainly for me, what makes the pair close, he's a little too frail in his feature, in my opinion, and he needs to be a little stouter in terms of his head and his front foot. But man, that thing's body shape, his base width, I think that's a heavyweight goat that cuts really well, and that's why he wins this pair. The goat in second, big-footed. I think he's got a striking outline and presence. I think Father Time has kind of caught up with this guy, and his best days come and gone. I study him through his chest. He's starting to get just a shot mature there and fall out and close up. I thought when I got right behind these goats and I studied just the turn of their body and right here over their loin edge, I didn't think he was just as fresh and as upstanding enough. He's wanting to break with staff or fungus just a little bit, and that probably took away from his freshness as shot too. But man, that's a big heavyweight goat. I bet when his time was right, that thing would have been deadly good, because his feet and legs are built for the long haul. Big feature, still very, very good in his silhouette. This young man has got a nice goat here in 3. I thought he was just a shot wider all the way through than the goat in 4. His loin edge isn't good enough, and this goat needs to be better in terms of his hip and his hind leg. But, man, that thing is wild wide up front, matches it from behind, super stout. I think if his loin edge was better and his hip was just a shot better, that's the kind I'd like to honestly win this type of a class. But it's just not today. I had to draw the line, and that's why he ended up in the 3rd spot. I wish the goat in 4 was just a shot wider from behind in the way he set his hock, because that goat's nice in terms of his feet and leg structure. His look from the side, I think, is awfully good. That goat standing still and braced up appears like he has enough muscle. I hinge my thoughts in motion and study just the genuine shape of the creature, and he didn't. He was too flat in his body. He's too flat in his stifle from behind. I need to make that guy just a shot more amped up all the way through to win in a big heavyweight class this good. A good killing goat that comes in next, wide, stout, big forearmed. I didn't think his foot matched his forearm. He's just too frail in terms of his feature to match what he's got up high. But, man, that thing is wide from his pin bone to his pin bone. He's too steep in his rump, a little frail in his feature. Those goats like that usually are very lean, high cut ability, and have a good shape to them. Just the negative aspects of that type remain true in terms of his hip and his hind leg. The goat that comes in next will out-profile them all. Big-footed, stout-structured, length of body's right, too flat and just too narrow underneath. That goat's got to go wider for me as he goes straight away. A wider goat here that comes in next that I thought was just a little plainer through his jawline, and his look from the side didn't balance right. He needs to be just a little neater in terms of his top line in the rump. And his hind leg construction I didn't think was just dead center, but still a goat I like quite well. We round out the class with a trio of goats that are long-sided and they're good-looking. I didn't think they were as wide, as stout, and as good as their handle as some of the goats on up the lineup. Great class. Congratulations. I'm very, very excited about our champion heavyweight drive here in just a second and making a couple close decisions that I think will be awfully fun.
Results of class number 9. In 10th place, Alexis Grundy, Westcliff, Colorado. 9th place went to Allison Hocker, Loveland, Colorado. 8th place, Kenley Fatigue, Brewster, Kansas. 7th place, Miles Rutledge, Yuma, Colorado. 6th, Caden Healy Mitchell from Wiggins, Colorado. 5th place went to Anna Vetter, Bennett, Colorado. 4th to Forrest Rutledge, Yuma, Colorado. 3rd to Forrest Rutledge, Yuma, Colorado. 2nd to Maggie McDonald from Magnolia, Arkansas. And the winner of Class 9 was Baylor Pearson, El Reno, Oklahoma. In the ring are the first and seconds out of Class 7, 8, and 9 for selection of the champion heavyweight. Again, a reminder, the grand drive will take place in the arena across the way at 6 o'clock this evening. Champions and reserves of each of the weight divisions need to be in this ring at 5:30 to get ready to go over. Also, if you were champion or reserve in showmanship in your age division, you need to be here also, because we would like to introduce you before the grand drive. Thank you.
I've enjoyed my day. I really have. I want to say hats off to the National Western for having me, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is a day I won't soon forget, and I'm just very grateful and honored to have the opportunity to be out here. I know we've got our grand drive set up for tonight, and I'll say a few words then, but I do remember back to this summer getting the call. I was driving through a set of first calf heifers with my dad. We were calving then, and I got the call, and I was pretty pumped up. And I've looked forward to this moment for a few months now since that time, and I knew it'd be fun. I knew it'd be exciting. But most importantly, I was just looking forward to working with the kids. That's what I do every day. I work with youth and developing them through livestock, and there's not a better way to do it, in my opinion. So just a great day and a dream of mine to be able to do something like this. And guys, it's been good from Class 1 all the way to Class 9. I'll tell you what we see in our class winners here real quick, and we'll wrap it up with a champion in reserve in our heavyweight division. Our Class 1 winner out of this particular division, guys, he hits me like all the stout goats today have. They hit me hard. I told my team earlier this week, I said the day that I don't use wide, stout, muscular goats, you need to check my pulse, because that day's probably not going to come. That one represents the kind that I like, moderate, dense in his feature. The top of his rib, and he's stout and he's wide from stifle to stifle. I study that goat from the side. He measures just a little short from his last rib back to win a big show, in my opinion. When we've got extra power, it takes just that little extra stretch, and I don't know if he's got it today from his last rib back. I just need to lengthen that guy there and make him go just a shot better out of his hind leg, but a goat that fits in the mix and suits the kind that I like quite well. Second in that class has probably got just a little more stretch, but I didn't think he had as much horsepower in his shoulder and right there in terms of his forerib. Like to see that goat just a little stouter in his rump, but man, that's a good profile, long design type of a weather that's still very, very accurate in terms of his stride in motion. Class 2 winner, he looks just a little different than probably some of our class winners today, and he's not always the kind that I gravitate to, but when they're that wide, that stout, that powerful, and handle that good, I'll take them with just a little more extreme in their look. But guys, they got to be stout for me first. He's extremely stout, and with that, he's got a really, really captivating look and silhouette from the profile. If we're going to change him, I'd like to make him just a little bigger in terms of his hind leg. We make a living on selling big-legged stock. That's what we've always tried to do at home. They're easy to sell. You don't always make as consistent of a living. We actually had this talk this morning. You raise extreme livestock. Sometimes you're going to hit it out of the park, and sometimes you're going to take them to the sale barn. I think this one's probably just a little closer to a home run ball, obviously, than a strikeout, but I like that one quite well that wins Class 2. Second in that class, he matches up with the goats that I've went after all day. Big-footed, really heavy in his feature, opened up underneath with the right shape up high. For me, hip in his hind leg. Just ran into a little bit of a snag as we studied those in motion, but that's a very, very high-quality goat that is so stout and so dense in his kind, and I like quite well. Buddy that wins Class 3, you're a little bit of feature away from being right in the race. I don't know if this goat's just got that defining piece that makes him stand out here, but in terms of fault-free, fundamentally good livestock, I think he's about as good as what we've had in the ring so far today. He's got to be stouter jawed. He's got to be just a little neater chested. And he needs to be just a little bigger in terms of his hind leg to be just a big heavyweight player out here. But, man, that's a look from the side I like. He's dense-bodied. He handles good up high. Like I said, needs a little more horsepower as we work down to the dirt. Second in that class, I thought countered him in terms of foot size, bone work, general feature, a silhouette that I do dearly love. Like I said in that class, Father Time has probably just caught up to this guy as I study him in his chest, right there over the top side of his skeleton, and as we work down to his hip. National Western has been fun. I'm looking forward to tonight. I think a real easy winner in this particular division, and then we'll take a little another look for reserve. But if you guys will, let's give our heavyweights a big round of applause. I'll show you the two I like best.
Champion heavyweight comes out of class number 8. That is Hayden Schroeder from Zephyr, Texas. Your reserve champion comes out of class number 8 also. That is Kara Cummings from Hollis, Oklahoma.